I own a lot of books, and I also haven't read a lot of them. I want my library to be filled of my favorite stories, but if I haven't even read them, I don't even know if I like them, let alone love them. Each video, I will read books that have been on my shelves since before the start of this year. Most of these books I've had since 2020 and 2021, when I first started my reading journey. And I've been looking at these titles for so long, it's time to start prioritizing them. Welcome to the Page by Page project, where I slowly work through my physical TBR to find my next favorite book hidden within my shelves. This is technically the first video of the Page by Page project. My plan is to read 3 books off my physical TBR in each of these videos. I feel like that's a pretty good amount per video, where I'm not making you guys wait forever for me to finish books so I can upload, and also gives a nice variety. I'm hoping to at least make this interesting for you, give a nice variety of what kind of books and what genres, what lengths, stuff like that. So I do have my first book, and it is one that I've talked about how scared I am, but I am reading A Game of Thrones. Why am I reading this so early in the year? It is on my 25 and 25, but I have the entire year to read that. Well, my wonderful fiance, who you have seen on this channel, Connor decided that he was going to buy A Game of Thrones and read it. So I forced us into a buddy read. As soon as he bought the book and started reading it that day, and read 150 pages in the first day of him reading it, I decided that this is my moment. This is my chance to be motivated to read it, because I like buddy reads and I like him. So sounds like a good motivation for reading the book. I currently am 113 pages in. He is almost 400 pages in, but he started reading it like 3 days before me, so I'm getting there. But I am 112 pages in, and I will say that I'm actually enjoying it so much. I was so scared about this book, and I really didn't think I would like it. I don't know why. I just thought that this was going to be like, I don't know, scary, or I don't know. But I'm really liking it. My one comment right now is to George R.R. Martin himself, and that is, are you okay? This seems like a crazy world to have built, and I mean, we started like the first 20 pages with incest, with talk of incest, and are you okay? You good? I'm enjoying it. I really like the world that you've created and the story that you're telling, but I feel like we need to check on him. Just check that everything's okay. If you don't know what A Game of Thrones is, it is a Game of Thrones. It is a game for the throne. We have different families fighting over who gets to be on the throne. We follow one main family right now, the Starks. It's really hard to explain this book. So much has happened already, but at the same time it feels like nothing has happened. We're following a bunch of different families after this war that caused a shift of who was on the throne. And now we're seeing different elements of that. We're seeing the current king and his family and some corruption there. We're seeing the new king's hand and his family, and being split between different sections of the country now, of the world. We're seeing the son and daughter of the old king, and them trying to rally an army to take their throne back. And it's really interesting, and I'm really enjoying it. We got a long way to go, so I'm gonna stop yapping and start reading. I'll see you all with another update soon. Hello. For the past couple of days, I have been reading A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin, and I'm ready to give a bit of an update. Now, this section is going to be spoiler. Here is a timestamp to go to not have spoilers, but I'm going to say that these are all my theories, and one theory did just get confirmed, so I'm going to be talking about that a little bit. But go to this timestamp to not hear any spoilers. If you have seen Game of Thrones, if you've read Game of Thrones, you're all good. Majority of this stuff, I don't even know if it's actually going to happen, but these are just my thoughts while reading. I just got a book journal, and I should have a video showing you my spreads for the beginning of the year in January, which I will link somewhere. I created a little like spread for all of my thoughts while reading this book because so much is happening, and I just found like some pictures on Pinterest, and yeah, so let's go through my thoughts on A Game of Thrones. Also, probably gonna say a lot of these names wrong. I thought I was saying them correctly, and then I talked to my fiance about them, who has actually read the show and is currently also reading the book, and he told me that quite a couple of them were pronounced wrong, so I'm doing my best. Okay, so my main theories. First one was that this just got confirmed. I said right from the beginning, and I wrote it right in the beginning, that Prince Joffrey is the twins' child. He is not the son of the king. He is the son of Jaime and the queen. What's her name? Cersei. He is the son of Jaime and Cersei Lannister. And I was right. I am so excited. I did not realize that all three Lannister children, are the children of Jaime and Cersei. That I did not predict, but I definitely knew that Joffrey was. Joffrey is a weasel, and I can't stand him. He's pure evil. And yeah, he's pure evil. He is the enemy. I assume this because in the beginning, it said that Joffrey had the like blue eyes of his mother, but the king had brown eyes. And I mean, maybe George over here just didn't care about genetics, but genetically, he couldn't have been the king's son if the king had brown eyes and the mom had blue eyes and he had blue eyes. That's not how genetics work. Blue is recessive. So if at least one parent is brown eyes, the child is going to be brown eyed. Or at least the likelihood of having a blue-eyed child with a parent with brown eyes is extremely rare. So I was already wary in the beginning. And then just the way that the queen was like weirdly overprotective of Joffrey, and like, I don't know, it just gave weird vibes, and I was like, you know what, this is definitely not the king's child. And then also the king, when he was joining the melee, when he wanted to join the melee, he was like, I can't believe that my son is as evil as Joffrey. Like, I can't believe that I created Joffrey. You didn't. The Lannisters are evil, and they created the evil spawn of Satan that Joffrey is. So, theory completed. My other theory, I think Dany is the dragon. Okay, let me explain. So, her brother, Viserys, something like that. He keeps saying, oh, don't wake the dragon. I'm the dragon. Don't wake the dragon. No, you're not. No, absolutely not. I think Dany is the dragon. And I know, like, she's a human, blah, blah, blah. But I think that the eggs that she has, something inside of her is awakening the egg. And, like, that's why sometimes she, like, feels like she could feel something stirring. Even from the beginning, she talked about how she loves bathing in super hot boiling water, and it's just soothing. It's not hot. It's just like a soothing comfort. And like, Dani is powerful. I love Dani. Her chapters come up, and I think she might be one of my favorite characters. But also, I'm super biased where I love dragon riders. So if she turns into a dragon rider and like she actually gets a dragon and becomes this like super powerful dragon rider, she absolutely is going to be my favorite character. I want that to happen so badly. I also think that Lyssa poisoned her husband. So Lyssa, Lady Stark's sister, poisoned Lyssa's husband, Jon Arryn, who was the hand of the king. I think she poisoned her own husband because the husband wanted to send the weird 6-year-old who needs to stop breastfeeding away. He wanted to, it was very briefly mentioned that Jon wanted to send, I don't know what the child's name is, but Jon wanted to send the child away to be raised away from the mother. And I think that Lyssa poisoned the husband to get him out of the picture so that she can move away with the child and keep coddling him, and then start this whole like Lannister hatred. Especially because when Lady Stark brought Tyrion to the sisters like palace, she was like, I don't want Lannisters here. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to be in your drama. And Lady Stark was like, my drama, you told me about the Lannisters first. Like, you sent the note. You said that, hey, they killed Jon. In that case, I think that Lyssa wanted to poison her husband, kill her husband, take the son away, make the Starks against the Lannisters, and have that happening like over here, so that the fact that she poisoned the husband would not be known. And I think the fact that he was looking into the lineage of the king at the same time was just a coincidence. And now I don't believe in coincidences, but I think in this case it was just a coincidence and like a weird timing. And I do actually think that Lyssa poisoned her husband. Those are all my thoughts right now. There's a lot happening in this book, and I'm loving it. There is so much drama and so many like interconnecting webs, and things are just like, everything is a cause and effect, and this world is falling apart, but this is like a comforting falling apart because I don't live in this world. So it's okay for this world to fall apart, and I'm enjoying watching it fall apart. Those are all of my updates as of now. I'm gonna get back to reading and making more predictions, and hopefully having my predictions be proven right. And I can't wait to know actually what's happening, because so many things are happening that I just like, But I will catch up with you with another update. I finished. Oh my god. Okay, so I finished and gave this book 5 stars. I honestly cannot believe it. This is gonna be like the plot twist of the year, and hopefully this is Spencer. Hopefully this is the what remains to be the top plot twist of the year, because I'm not in the mood for a big year of surprises. I read this beast of a book, and you know what? This is my official, before reviewing this is my official stacking pages guide to reading big scary books. Read them on your Kindle, because this, I just read a story and it just went on and click, click, click on the pages. I still have this decorated for Christmas. I love these stickers. Got most of them off of Etsy. And I have some spring stickers coming. Should be this week, so this will be getting a little refresh. But get a Kindle or an e-reader, or just even on your phone, and then you don't have to see this monstrous book, and you get to just read this this little book on this, little tiny screen. So that is my official recommendation for people who, like me, are afraid of big books, because tackling the one page of a Kindle versus tackling the 800 pages of this. It's a lot easier to do this. But, alright, actual review. I love this book. I don't even know, like, what to say about this book. Dani is so cool, and as long as she doesn't, suddenly become, like, corrupt and, like, evil and whatever, she is my favorite character. I also love Arya. I don't like Sansa. I don't like Joffrey. In my journal, Joffrey is known as Prince Weasel. I think that's an accurate description. I cannot believe the ending. I cannot believe, like, who died and who stayed alive. I really just can't believe that J.R.R. Martin actually, like, killed off certain people. Insane. If you have not watched the TV show, I would recommend trying this. I did not like the show. I was getting very confused as to who people were. Now I am, I think, willing to watch the show as, like, I have a better grasp, but I honestly just could not follow who these characters were in the show, and in this, I had a really easy time doing it. Now, what's going to be fun is, I read Game of Thrones as a buddy read with my wonderful fiance, Connor. And he is now going to give us a little bit of a review and his experience reading A Game of Thrones. So, without further ado, let's pass this over to Connor.
Greetings. This is my newly acquired stack of the Game of Thrones books purchased by my adorable fiance. Thank you, Diana. I didn't write any notes at all before starting to film this review, so I don't know what I'm going to say. This is Game of Thrones. Let me put these down. Okay, I just dropped them all. Here's the first one. This book is called A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin, for anyone who didn't know that. One of 7 books in the series A Song of Ice and Fire. Sometimes they're sold in sets of 5 because the third and final books are both in 2 volumes each. So you can buy them as 5 or 7, I guess. I think that's right. I don't know. This is the first book. My set was published in 2011, so it doesn't have any stupid taglines about now as seen on TV, because that's really annoying. As you can see, there are quite a lot of pages. It smells pretty good. These are secondhand that I got. They're in good condition, though. They just look like they've been read and enjoyed, which is nice. This book, how many pages? 801 pages. That is including a short appendix at the back that contains a glossary of all of the major characters. Right, let's read the back. Summers span decades. Winter can last a lifetime, and the struggle for the Iron Throne has begun. As Warden of the North, Lord Eddard Stark counts it a curse when King Robert bestows on him the office of the Hand. His honour weighs him down at court, where a true man does what he will, not what he must. And a dead enemy is a thing of beauty. The old gods have no power in the south. Stark's family is split and there is treachery at court. Worse, the vengeance-mad heir of the deposed Dragon King has grown to maturity in exile in the free cities. He claims the Iron Throne. So yeah, that's a little bit of backstory. There is a lot of world building in these novels. This is essentially a medieval fantasy world, but the cool thing is you get some nice maps in the front of the book to illustrate the scale of the various parts of the world. Shows you all the major cities and towns and stuff, so you can see where is where and stuff like that. You can also see the borders of the of the various kingdoms. There are 7 kingdoms in the main continent, all ruled by a noble house with a lord, because only men are allowed to rule, basically. This is very medieval. And they all swear fealty to the king of the 7 kingdoms, who rules over all of them at once. Currently ruled by King Robert, who took power following a war to overthrow the Targaryen family, who had ruled the 7 kingdoms for 300 years previously. So yeah, they're gone now. Sucks to be them. And now Robert is in charge, but he's kind of a drunk, not a very good king. So the 7 kingdoms are not working together as one. There are a lot of power struggles, lots of political unrest, as all the various different houses have their own allegiances and their own agendas and so on. They all want different things. And this book mainly focuses on the Stark family, who rule the North. Now let's get more into the structure. I like to look at that kind of thing. For anyone wondering, this book is it's written in the third person and in the past tense. Because I don't know about you, but I hate books that are written in the present tense. It's so jarring, and I hate it. But this is just a regular past tense third person book. There are a lot of chapters. They're not numbered. They are simply named after the character whom that chapter is mostly is based around. So it kind of follows that character around. So you get chapters with a lot of the main characters showing their perspectives and what they're doing in the various corners of the world, which is nice. I thought I would just mention, since a lot of books these days are published with like trigger subjects and stuff, these books were first published in 1996, and back then people didn't care about that kind of thing. So I'll just mention there is SA, at least in this first book. So if you're not a fan of that, maybe don't read it. Another thing to mention is a lot of the younger characters who are kids in the or young adults in the first book have been aged by the TV show. They're actually a lot younger in the book, about 3 or 4 years younger, most of them. And SA sometimes happens with those young people. So if that's going to trigger you, maybe don't read this. Other things, there's a lot of gore description. People, it's medieval times. People are being beheaded, burned alive, skinned alive, having their throats cut, that kind of stuff. So if you don't want to read about those yummy descriptions, then maybe give this one a miss. I watched the TV show throughout before reading any of these books. I love the show. That's why I wanted to read the books, to see what they're like. For anyone like me who has seen the show before, the first book covers the first season, or I should say the first season covers the first book. The show is a pretty faithful retelling. The vast majority of characters, events, and so on are the same. There are some things that aren't talked about in the book that you see in the show, because the book focuses on the main characters, and sort of the things that they personally do and their perspectives of things, even though it's told in third person. So there are a lot of scenes in the show that don't involve any main characters, but they're being shown to you to help advance the story, and that doesn't happen in the books. But yeah, the first season is a pretty good retelling of the first book. I'm about halfway through the second book now, and that also is relatively accurate to the second season of the show. But I'm starting to see some divergence away, where the TV show has started doing its own thing away from the books, and that's totally fine. I am not bothered about that at all. Another thing that I enjoyed, since this is kind of medieval, there are a lot of medieval terminology that I enjoyed getting to just Google. There are descriptions of like suits of armor and stuff, like practices and things they did in medieval times, like spreading rushes on the floor. I didn't know what that was, I had to Google it. And like various cool terms of different parts of armor, like hauberk and gorget. I'm probably butchering the way those are pronounced, but I don't care. Lobstered gauntlets. Ooh. Yeah, that's nice imagery. Yeah, that is pretty much it. I haven't really reviewed the book at all, actually. I gave it 5 stars, for anyone wondering. It's very good. If you like the show, you're going to like the book. Yeah, that's kind of it. There's a lot going on. It's a large continent and characters are spread out all over. So there's a lot of chopping and changing, and a vast number of characters are named, given their full names and everything, and you're not expected to remember them all. That's why there's a glossary at the back of all the main houses and all the people associated with them. So don't worry about that. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this book as much as I did, and I can't wait to read the rest of the series.
So my plan was to start this book, and when I got about halfway through, to then talk about it. The book in question is Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. I made it through 44% of this book and decided to DNF. I listened to the audiobook of this for 2 days while I was at work, and it's not for me. I have so many thoughts with this book. I spent about an hour ranting to my fiance about this book. Now, first off, not every book is for every person. Not every author is for every person. I am greatly in the belief that if you don't like a book, stop reading it. I have 150 books on this TBR, so there's no point in wasting time with books that I don't like. That being said, let's talk about this book. This is the second book by Tessa Bailey that I've read. The first book got 2 stars, and this book got DNF'd. So I don't think that Tessa Bailey is the author for me, and that is okay. She has a lot of really popular books at this point. This is one of her earlier ones, so maybe one day I'll try one of her newer books. Unfortunately, this one, it just wasn't for me. Let's get into it. What is this book actually about? Georgie is our main girl, and this guy, Travis, he is a retired baseball player. A retired baseball player that had to retire because of an injury. So he was forced to retire. And now he is working as a carpenter for her brother's business, for the family business. The family has a house flipping construction business, and he's working as a carpenter. I was super excited to go into this book because I'm marrying a carpenter. So I thought this would be a lot of fun. Connor was excited for me to read it. I was excited to read it. I thought it would just be a cute little romance with a carpenter. And I mean, the cover is really cute. I like the cover. I bought this book, I think, back in 2020 or 2021. And I just thought it was really cute. Georgie is the little sister to a family where they were all kind of older when she was born. So she felt like she didn't really have a place in the family because everyone already had their dynamic before she came in. And everyone in her family always kind of saw her as a joke. They always thought of her as a clown. So she decided to actually become a birthday party clown in spite of her family. It was kind of a, oh, you think I'm a clown? I'm gonna prove to you that I actually am a clown. Yeah, that was interesting. This apparently is a fake dating book. And I got 44% of the way through, and they were just starting to discuss the idea of fake dating, which I feel like typically, also this font is huge, so it did not take me long to get through to 44%. But typically, the fake dating starts a lot earlier. I want that to really like resonate and really simmer throughout the majority of the book. But they spent the first half of the book just being like mutual acquaintances to like just kind of stuck in each other's lives. There was one part where, so Travis promised to, sorry, this is a chaotic review, but I just have so many thoughts about this book. But okay, so one part that really bothered me was that Travis promised Georgie to fix her fireplace. She wanted to get it redone, and he promised that he would do it. So they made a date for him to come and take measurements and figure all that, you know, the actual stuff out, and he stood her up. So then Georgie said, you know what, I don't need my family's carpenter business. I don't need Travis. I am a grown woman. I could hire someone on my own. So she finds a different carpenter and is having that carpenter do the work instead. Then Travis shows up at their first appointment where the guy is doing measurements and showing different brick options and things like that. Tile options, brick options. And Travis gets super jealous. They're not dating. He never even thought of her as anything other than an annoying little sister. But suddenly he's telling this other carpenter, he's like berating this other carpenter like, oh, do you actually have a carpentry license? Let me see it. Oh, don't worry. This is just a little rebellion of hers. She'll get over it and I'm going to do the fireplace. And it's like, dude, you had your shot and you stood her up. After, she literally went over to his apartment with 2 full bags of leftovers, saying that he wasn't taking care of himself because he was in a rut of depression because he, you know, got fired from baseball, which was his dream job, something he worked for his whole life. But so she brought over two bags full of food, saying that you can't just eat takeout and every recipe is for 2 people and I'm only one person cooking for myself. So I have all this food. You need to take better care of yourself. I will give you this food. And she fully cleaned his apartment from top to bottom when he was in a depressive like slump and couldn't take care of himself. So after all that, he then stood her up to take measurements of her fireplace and then had the audacity to come to someone who she hired as a professional and say that her hiring someone else was just a little rebellion, like she's a teenager. No. Not good. Travis? Nope. Also, we had the whole trope of, oh, she took off the sweatshirt and glasses and suddenly, oh my god, she's beautiful. She got a makeover at a boutique, which was an expensive, like, small business boutique, and she bought an entire new outfit. This girl who was a birthday party clown and 23 years old bought a house, was getting her fireplace renovated, and bought an entirely new outfit, entirely new wardrobe, without a bat in the eye. Like, maybe I'm in the wrong business. Maybe I should turn into a birthday party clown. But where is she getting this money? It is, I understand this is a book, but it is so unrealistic. It doesn't make sense. And I know that I'm not crazy for having these thoughts because I did read the reviews when I was deciding whether or not to DNF it. And everyone agreed with me. So she gets this brand new wardrobe from this boutique, and suddenly instead of wearing like old jeans and a sweatshirt, she's wearing like a pencil skirt and a blouse, and Travis sees her and it's just like, oh my god, you're so beautiful. What? Oh my god, you're going on a date with someone else? No, you can't do that. And it's like, she's literally been your best friend's sister your entire life, and you didn't notice her until she was wearing a skirt. I don't like that. No. And then my biggest complaint is that he kept referring to her as the worst pet names ever. They weren't even together, and he kept calling her like sweetheart, and then he kept calling her baby girl, which is, I think, to me, the absolute worst pet name ever, and should not be it sounds so demeaning and so infantilizing. And there was multiple reviews on this book where it was, the whole review was just baby girl, 1 star. And truly that I think that sums it up. This book, I really hated this book. I thought I was going to just finish it because it only took me 2 days to listen to 40% of it, and I could have done more the second day, but when I could tell when I'm like about to DNF a book because I just don't want to read it. When it takes me so long to get through and I'm like finding any little excuse to do something other than read, I know I'm about to DNF. I was telling my mom about the book and everything that I didn't like about it, and she ultimately helped me make the decision to DNF it. Also, hi Mom, I know you're watching. So overall, book number 2 is a DNF. Hopefully we have better luck with the 3rd book of this video. Hello. I am not having good luck choosing books right now. The page-by-page project is kind of beating me right now. I have DNF'd another book. The Unexpected Inheritance of Inspector Chopra. Now, I bought this book a couple of years ago. Around 2022, my mom and I went on a book crawl, is the best way I could describe it. We drove to Maine from New York, so we started in New York, drove to Maine to go to a murder mystery store that I cannot remember the title, the name of on the top of my head, but I will add it here. And then we went all the way down the coast, stopping in bookstores all the way back down to New York. So on that trip, I bought The Unexpected Inheritance of Inspector Chopra, and have been looking at this book on my shelves for years, thinking that I'm going to love this book. Well, I finally read it. I got 50% of the way through, and I do not care a single bit about this mystery. So what exactly is this mystery about? So, this is a mystery book. Inspector Chopra is just retired from the police force. He was the chief on the police. He just retired, and because of health conditions, because he has a heart condition, and needs to minimize stress. So he retires from the police force, and on the same day, his uncle gifts him an elephant. So this elephant apparently has some magical ability. It's a special elephant. It's not actually magic, because this is set in the real world, but has some sort of ability. The elephant can solve crimes. On the last day of him being in the police force, there is a boy that is killed, and the mother is afraid that no justice is going to be done because they are poor. So he takes it upon himself to try to find the murderer of this boy. And through it, we are going we're going across Mumbai, and we're learning about different places. We're going from the richest areas to the poorest areas, and we're running around Mumbai with this elephant and this retired police chief who has a heart condition, so he cannot be on the force, but he could still run around all of Mumbai, no issues. I got halfway through and just realized that I don't care. I didn't care about the mystery. I honestly didn't even look up how it was solved because it wasn't interesting to me. Now, I did like Inspector Chopra, and I did like the elephant, and I liked some of the characters in the book. I really liked his wife. His mother-in-law was really funny. But overall, I just don't think this is the book for me. This could, I did see some reviews that this could be an issue of first book in a series, where a lot is being set up and not a lot is happening. I had this like similar complaint with the K-Team by Andy Carpenter, where the first book got a lot lower rating because it just felt like it was setting up a lot of the rest of the plot rather than much happening. The question kind of remains of why, as someone who honestly does not DNF a lot of books, why do I now have 2 DNFs in this video? And I think that this is going to be a major thing about the Page by Page project. I have had these books on my shelf for so long. I mean, behind me you can see shelves. I have 2 bookcases in front of me. I have piles everywhere. Like, I have a lot of books. And when I bought all these books, I thought that I would enjoy them. But I've also come a long way in my own reading journey, where now the books that I buy, I'm more likely to read them very quickly and love them because I know my reading taste more. When I bought both of these books, which are both the ones that I DNF'd so far in this video, I was still learning what I liked about books and what I didn't like about books. And I think that's a major thing about this challenge and actually reading off of my shelves is that it's going to give me a lot more opportunity to learn what I actually like and to see what I'm actually gravitating towards. Now, originally, I was going to read 3 books in this video. But since I DNF'd 2 of them, I'm going to do a bonus. I'm going to do a bonus read. You're welcome. Maybe you didn't want a bonus read, but I'm going to do 4 books in this video instead of 3 because I feel like it's not as fun when I'm just DNFing things. That being said, I am tired of being disappointed in my own choices. So I'm not going to make any more choices this video. Instead, last night, I texted my wonderful fiance and sent him 2 book blurbs without any context as to what the actual book was. I didn't send him the cover, didn't send him the title. I just took a picture of the blurb on Storygraph and sent it his way and said, pick a book. So, I sent him The Rom-Commers and 1-Star Romance. I'm in a bit of a romance mood right now. We're getting to February, we're getting to Valentine's Day, so just feeling like a romance. These are both book of the months. I'm trying to prioritize a lot this year, and I know that's not how you prioritize things, because that's literally, if you prioritize everything, nothing is prioritized. But I want to make a point to read more of my book of the month, because I want to make sure that this subscription that I've had since 2019, I'm actually using. So, these are both book of the months. I believe I got both of these in October, though, because I had some extra credits because I didn't really use book of the month over the summer. So, I got both of these. And Connor has chosen, drumroll please, 1-Star Romance. So, I started 1-Star Romance today. And what can I tell you about this? First of all, I'm actually enjoying it. I'm 30% in. And I feel like I am in enough to explain what this is about. So, now I don't remember people's names, so I need to always look at that part. I'm very sorry. Natalie here is an author. And Rob here is a linguistic academic. He has a PhD in linguistics. And Natalie here is a writer who does not have an MFA because she cannot afford to go into more debt with school. So she is writing and going to every workshop, reading every book about writing, but not getting a formal education in writing, which Rob here does not approve of, because he is an academic. Now, they know each other because they are both the best friends of a couple that is about to get married. Natalie's best friend is Gabby, and Rob's best friend is Angus. Angus and Gabby are about to get married, and their maid of honor and best man now must be nice to each other. And at this point, they must walk down the aisle. However, right before that, Natalie learns that Rob gave her debut novel a 1-star review without putting any words to this review, just gave her 1 star. So she's not too happy with him, and I mean, understandably. So we're starting out with a bit of an enemies right now because they're not very happy with each other. Rob is mad at her because he's claiming that the aloof man in her book is Angus, his best friend, and how dare you write these things about my best friend. And she's turning around saying this is a work of fiction. It's a character. I didn't write Angus into the book. And they're going back and forth right now at this wedding. Unfortunately, they don't like each other. She does not like Angus. She does not like his best friend. She thinks that her best friend can do a lot better. The character definitely is her perception of Angus, considering that Angus and Gabby spending so much time together after them getting engaged was what inspired and prompted her to actually write her first novel. So it is very clear that the character is, the blueprint is Angus. At the same time, she is understandably very upset about getting a 1-star review and feels that work of fiction is able to separate it, and feels that you can take inspiration from people in your real lives and manipulate it and change it for a book without suddenly being berated for thinking rude thoughts about that person. She claims that she changed the character enough, and Rob should feel bad for thinking of his best friend as aloof and not good enough, and that's why he even saw him as that character. So they're going back and forth. There's some drama there. But since their best friends are now married, they're going to continuously run into each other for the rest of their lives. So that's where we're at now. Right now, part 3 is a year and a half later after the wedding. And I'm assuming, I haven't started this part, but I'm assuming we're about to see them meet up again for the first time in a year and a half. And it's going to continue throughout the book. As their best friends go through different life events together, they're going to continuously see each other over and over again. And this conflict is going to continue being brought up until our enemies here turn into lovers. So, I am definitely enjoying this book a lot more than the other two, and I am excited to continue reading it. And so far, Connor is doing a very good job. So, when in doubt, ask someone else to pick your own books, because at the end of the day, if you don't like the book, at least you have someone else to blame. I actually finished another book for this video, 1-star romance. Did not get 1 star. It actually got 3.75. And that's for a very specific reason. But this book was so good. This book is right person, wrong time. And it follows like a 10 to 12 year span of their life. And it's with they know each other because their best friends are married. So they just keep meeting each other every year, every 2 years-ish, when their best friends have a new life moment. So, when they got engaged, when they got married, when they had a baby, the christening, stuff like that. And they keep just bumping into each other, and there's obviously some connection there, but who's currently dating someone else at the moment, who's working on themselves, who's trying to figure out what job they actually want to have, and all this stuff. And you get to see them really navigate like the space of like each other and learning to be okay for themselves as well as okay for each other. And I really think that's really cool. Now, some small complaints I had with this book. First of all, our main character, Natalie, she is a writer, and this 1-star romance, she wrote a book where he gave her a 1-star. And it was because the main guy in the book was pretty much a carbon copy of his best friend, her best friend's husband. And it was a mean depiction. It was just how much she hated him, how much he wasn't good enough for her friend. And honestly, if my quote best friend wrote something and published that to the world about my husband, I don't think I would be friends with her anymore. Like, it was a cruel depiction, and her best friend Gabby is just a lot stronger than me because I don't think I would have been able to come back from that. It was really cruel and really mean. And at the end of the day, her best friend's husband, Angus, is a really good guy. He's a little weird, he's a little odd, but first of all, that's not a bad thing. And he is the kind of guy who, when he was a kid, he would carry around extra juice boxes in case another kid got thirsty. Just in case. And watching him get hurt over the book was honestly really hard, and I didn't like how even years later, when Angus was such a good husband, such a good father, that she still had this like resentment towards him. It seemed at some points that like she was in love with her best friend. I mean, she wasn't. She's straight, I'm assuming. Maybe she was in love with her best friend, but it just seemed that like some of the ways that she described, it kind of seemed like she felt she had a claim on her best friend because she was there first, but now her best friend is married, and like that's a different dynamic, and it's a huge struggle of that through the book. I think this is more than a romance. I think this is really a testament of friendship, and it just has so many layers to it, and I really, really enjoyed it. I was going to give this 4 stars, but what got it knocked down that last quarter of a star for me is that, and this is a very like specific thing for me, but COVID and the pandemic were a very hard and anxious time for me, and I honestly really hate when books mention it. It feels like as soon as it gets mentioned, I get pulled away from the story and from like enjoying this fictional world and get like dropped into ours so fast. I understand that it was a time and it's not going to be completely avoided in books, but a lot of books I think do a really good job where they don't mention actual years that things take place so that they don't have to really go through 2020, and this book made a point to discuss the pandemic and even things down to like wiping down groceries and things like that. So that's really just like, I understand, a me thing. And I mean, these ratings are my own. So for me, that's why it got 3.75 stars. But if it didn't have that element, I would give it 4 stars. That being said though, I 1,000% would recommend this book. I really enjoyed it. It was beautifully written, and it was just a fun book. There was a lot going on, and I really, honestly, I think I don't usually like time skips in books because I feel like you're trying to catch up on all this stuff that happened, but I think it was done so well, and I truly did love the time skips, and this is the first book of the trope right person, wrong time that I absolutely loved. So I would definitely recommend this, and I am really, really happy that we ended this video with this. I'm really glad that we ended on a good note, because the middle was not so good. Those were the 4 books that I attempted for this challenge so far. I really enjoyed just having a little bit of time to focus on the books on my TBR, and just making sure that I am reading those and prioritizing those, because truly, while I do love having a big collection of books, I want to read them. I want to be surrounded by books that I've read and loved, not just books that I own that I don't even know what they're about. So I am so excited to continue this challenge, and I will be having many more of these videos in the upcoming year, in the upcoming maybe years, well, you never know what's going to happen. But I know for a fact that as soon as I finish this book, I already have the next 3 books picked out for the next challenge, and I am just so excited to just continue reading and to just read my shelves. So thank you so much for watching. If you are still watching up to this point, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube things, ring that bell icon if you really, really want to, and I will catch you in the next video.